Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. God's blessings be upon you today. This is the day that the Lord has made. We're rejoicing, we're celebrating, we are glad in this day. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I hope you had a good night's rest. I thank God for the rest that I was able to enjoy on last night. Didn't get as many hours as I wanted to, but I got a good 6 hours. I got a good 6 hours, and I thank God for that. As you know, I am in Washington, D.C. I was blessed to arrive here safely on yesterday after church and preached on last night. And I'll be flying back to Atlanta on this morning, but I wanted to make sure that I touch bases with you. Thank you for your prayers. I had to preach 3 times on yesterday, 3 times, and well, a little tired right now, but God gave me strength 3 times, 3 times, and I thank God for that. I need for you to go on and share this on today, if you will. We want to get started, and we don't want to hold you long. Don't want to hold you long on today. We want to just talk with you. And I really want to piggyback off of some things that I shared with you on yesterday. Let me make sure those who are on my prayer call line, let me make sure that they can hear me, make sure that I'm not muted or anything like that. I want to do that. I am still feasting from how the Lord blessed us on yesterday. Were you blessed? Who was blessed? Talk to me if you're from Grace. I know we have people from all over this country who come on Monday Motivation. I am able to meet many of you when I travel, and you've told me that you're on, and I thank God for you. But those who had grace yesterday, who was blessed by the word and worship, who was blessed, and who will do better, who will develop a strategy to better your condition, bettering your condition. That's what we talked about on yesterday as it relates to Daniel. Daniel did not worry about what they were doing, his adversaries. He was not worried about what his haters were doing. He just kept doing what he was doing, and he stayed consistent. And God, of course, exonerated him once he was thrown in the lion's den. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about that on today, because as a pastor, and then as a person, and as a citizen, see, you cannot be a pastor without having a heart for God's people. You cannot be a leader without having a heart for God's people. When our people go through some, this is what we're called to do. This is what many of the burdens that I bear, they're not my own. If I have a member who loses a loved one, that's kind of a burden for me to bear. My heart goes out to them. My prayers are with them. If I have a member who's going through, that's a burden that I'm bearing sometime, because my heart goes out to them. And when our people are going through situations, going through uncertainties, this last election kind of shook us up, and many of the things that the president is doing will not be in our best interest, doing away with some of the programs. My heart goes out to many of the Hispanics who are here, and many of them are good people, workers, making a contribution to this society. They are a part of this community, and many are being deported. Many are being deported, and I've heard of reports of where they've picked up children in schools, and my heart goes out uh, to them. My heart goes out to our African American community. And so yesterday's message, I tried to convey the fact that instead of us spending all of this time concerning ourselves with what President Trump and that agenda is doing, I think it is important. I think it behooves us to spend that time developing ourselves. I need you to declare this. I must develop me. I must fortify me. I must develop me. I cannot worry about what my adversary is doing. And I hope this is encouraging to somebody on today. I cannot worry about what my adversary is doing. I can't worry about that. I must concern myself about what I am doing. That's what I tried to convey. We have no control. We have very little control over what the president is doing. But I must develop me because I do have control over what I can do and how I can fortify myself, develop myself. Did y'all understand that? I want to make sure I feel like you got it. I feel like you got it, but I want to make sure. Did you get that? Did you get that on yesterday? I must fortify myself. I must protect myself. And we must do it together as a people. Now, I was having dinner last night with my host pastor, Pastor Patrick Walker, here in Washington, D.C., the New Macedonia Baptist Church. Had a great night last night, a great night. And we were talking about this because we are pastors. And I told you that pastors, you can't be a pastor without having a heart for people. You can't do it. And he and I were talking about this, on last night, and how we've got to do better as a people and how we can do it together, collectively. Now, I hear you, well, black folk ain't gonna work together. Well, no race. There is not a race that works together in totality. You don't have to have all black folk to work together. Just get some. Just get some. Just get 10%. Just get 20%. Just get 30%. All white people don't work together. All white people don't think alike. All Asians don't think alike. All of them don't work together. But if you can get enough who have a general consensus to pull together, to stand together, to fortify ourselves, not that we want to harm anybody else, not that I own guns. I'm a gun owner. I have several guns. I encourage all of our people to purchase weapons. Not that I want to harm. I wouldn't harm a flea. I really wouldn't. I'm not that kind of person. I am not a violent person. I don't even dream of shooting nobody or killing anybody. That's just not me. I want everybody to live. I want everybody to. I'm the kind of person, and I know you are too. I want everybody to just live. Whatever your choice is, whatever you do, however you do, live. However, I do believe that it behooves me to protect me and mine. I do know that there are racist groups out there, and a lot of them have been let out of jail. Uh, they've been not paroled, but you understand what I'm saying. I can't think of what pardoned. They've been pardoned. They've been pardoned, and many of them have been emboldened. Well, it might come to that, you know. So I believe as a people, we don't need to sit around talking about, well, Jesus will protect me. No, Jesus told the disciples the second time he sent them out, get your sword. And if you ain't got a sword, sell something and get it, because it it's incumbent upon us to protect ourselves. I don't preach violence, and I hope none of you think I do. I don't. I don't own guns. I try to keep one in every room. I don't do that because I want to harm somebody, but I do that in the event that somebody wants to harm me. I feel that it's my responsibility to protect myself, to protect my wife, protect my home, and I do believe that. So that's one of the messages I preach. So what can we do as a people? Number one, we can stop worrying. We can stop concerning ourselves with what he is doing. I would encourage some of you, just turn the TV off. Take a break from social media. Uh, take a break from listening at the news online or reading everything online. Take a break. Take a break. Quit concern. Well, Trump did this, and the Republicans did this, and white folk did this, and Elon did this. Okay, yes, they are. Take a break uh, and do what we can to fortify ourselves. If they cut this program, well, by now you should have been off that program anyhow. So work to get off of that program. Where they're cutting, some are talking about cutting school free lunches. Well, if they cut free lunch program, how long have you been on free lunch? Or your children been on free lunch? Now, sometimes some of our people don't like when their black pastors or leaders talk like that, because it causes for accountability. And sometimes we don't want accountability. We want to wait. And it's not just black people, because the majority of welfare recipients are white. Did you know that? The majority of persons who get subsidies or government assistance in some form are white. So I'm not just talking about black people. You got some white folk, you've got some Hispanics, you got other nationalities. Every group has that element in it of people who just want to hand out. Well, we shouldn't be those. We shouldn't be that way. We shouldn't be the kind of people that complain every time the government cuts the EBT card off or cut out subsidies. Listen, this is what they're going to do. We should be preparing ourselves. I don't worry about the EBT card cut off because I don't have one. My father taught me and taught us not to have that mentality. I'm not saying don't get some help if you need it. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying for those who have become disabled, those who have had some unforeseen things happen. I believe that's what the government is for. It used to be the church and the family, and I think it still should be that. But the church can't do it like the church should be able to do it, because the church is struggling because people don't really support the church. I mean, you get a few people to give 10%, but then all of us have to give 25, 30% to the government. Think about your taxes. Think about it. Think about it. I bought a car a few days ago, bought another SUV a few days ago. And and see, I'm a strategist. I wanted to get it because I knew it was time to get a new one. And I wanted to get it before Trump took office. So we bought it in December because all of these tariffs and stuff that he talks about, I knew that if he does this, then the price of things are going to escalate. So, most vehicles that I drive, they are made elsewhere, made by other companies and other countries. And if you put a tariff on them, then what's going to happen is the price of them are just going to go higher. And so Tamara and I bought a vehicle the other day. Well, once I purchased it, there was a line on it for taxes. Had to pay taxes on that. When I get my check, I had to pay taxes. Did you? I mean, in this country, we pay taxes on the money we make. We pay taxes on the money we inherit. We pay taxes. Let me make sure that I'm still on this phone. We pay taxes on the money we spend. When you pay for groceries, you're taxed. We're just tax in this country. We're taxed. We're just overly taxed in this country. We pay tax. If I buy a house, I've already paid taxes on the money I'm buying the house with. Now I got to pay taxes on the house every year. Every year. So we're taxed. And so it's at a point where we pay so much to the government, people don't support the church. Biblically, it was the church's responsibility to take care of it was a communal system. And I don't know the solution, but I do know the solution for you. This might be a good time for several family members or friends to pull together to see how can we fortify ourselves? How can we make sure that we survive? Well, what can we do for ourselves? What can we do? We can't keep talking about what they are doing. We've got to start focusing on what we can do. I want to look at something real quickly. Just hold on just a minute. I'm trying to see where I found this. For some reason, I didn't put, okay, here we go. I want to look at Lamentations 3, chapter 3, Lamentations chapter 3, and I want to start at verse 37, and I'll be done here in just a minute. Verse 37 says, who can command things to happen without the Lord's permission? Who can command things, verse 37, to happen without the Lord's commission? Verse 38, does not the Most High send both calamity and good? Then why should we, mere humans, complain when we are punished for our sins? Instead, let us test and examine our ways. Let us examine. See what this text is saying. And of course, you got to understand that this text is written in the context of the Jews' Babylonian bondage, Babylonian captivity, and they are in a strange land. Many of them are struggling in that land. And they discovered that the Lord allowed Nebuchadnezzar to come to Jerusalem and take them there. And now I don't know who's reigning during the time of this text. It could be Darius, could be Cyrus, or whoever. I don't know. Could have been Belshazzar. Don't know. However, they knew that it was because of their sins. It was because of their sins that landed them in this position. But I like it because, and I'm not saying that that's why we're in this position. I do know we have sinned. I do know we have, as a people, not done some things that we should have done. Of course, there are others who have too. I'm not saying that's the reason why this is happening. Here's what I am saying. Regardless to the reason, the text says, let us test and examine our ways. And then it said, let us turn back to God. This is Lamentations chapter number 3, verses 37 through 42. Let us turn back to God. Verse 41 says, let us lift our hearts and hands to God in heaven and say, we have sinned and rebelled, and you've not forgiven us. So I've always been the kind of person to believe that you don't sit around complaining about your condition. You don't sit around complaining about what the government is doing. Now, if I got power to change it, I will. Part of that change is exercising my right to vote. Over 37% of eligible voters didn't vote in the election. So you didn't, well, I couldn't find a choice. Well, you did have two choices. You had two visions. Sometimes you have to take the lesser of two evils. And I'm not saying Donald Trump is evil. I'm not saying Kamala Harris is evil. I'm just saying you may not get everything you want. You may have to accept some things that you want, but you don't sit around constantly complaining. Are you going to do that for the next 4 years? He comes on TV, he does a press conference, he says something stupid about an airplane crash and blames it on DEI, number one, with no evidence. Number two, just insensitive, no tact, just an insensitive brother. Are we going to sit around and complain about that and complain about this? Well, Trump doing this, Trump doing that. Or can we do as the Bible teaches us in Lamentations chapter 3, verses 40 and 40 and 41? Let us examine our ways. I've got to examine my ways. Let us turn back to the Lord. Now, let me give you a little bit of encouragement. This ain't the first time African Americans have been through dire situations and we survived. This is not the first time. We've not always had, okay, we can't sit around and complain, well, they're doing away with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, build up your own institutions. Build up your own institution. Keep fighting for your rights elsewhere, but build up your own. One of the things that integration did for us that hurt us is once we received the rights to go and eat at the lunch counter of white-owned establishments, we stopped supporting ours. We stopped. So we used to have an economy. We used to have an economy. Listen, we did. Even in the little town, the pastor and I were talking about the Black Wall Street last night over dinner. We were talking about the black, and I shared with him, and of course he's a very educated brother, so he already knew this. I said, Pastor, there were Black Wall Streets in every town. That was a black economy in every town. Even the little town, Quitman, Mississippi. I remember when I was a child, we had our own area where we had black gas stations, black-owned gas stations. We had a cleaners, black-owned cleaners. We had our own grocery store, convenience store, other little black-owned areas. And we were forced to support because they wouldn't allow us in theirs. As soon as we integrate, we had our own school, black school, used to be called Shirley Owens High School. Shirley Owens integrated, things changed, and we stopped supporting our own. Other ethnicities support their own. Asians ain't worrying so much about what Trump is doing. Indians, and I'm not talking about Native Americans, I'm talking about people from India, they're not worried because they support their own. The Asian community support their own. We are the ones who take every dollar out of the black community and take it somewhere else. We are the ones. We are the ones quite often walk around with a Gucci bag and talking about they couldn't free lunch for my child. We are the ones. So we must take responsibility. I'm not going to say Donald Trump is a blessing to us, but hopefully he will wake us up as a people to realize that we need to support our own institute. Listen, y'all, I'm going to say something, and I know y'all going to get mad with me now. I'm going to say something, and I said this to the pastor last night when we were at dinner, and I don't consider myself to be prejudiced or racist or anything like that. But we don't even support our own black churches now. You've got a large group of black people who will not sit under black leadership. We've got to go where there is a white pastor. And I'm going to tell you, I have a problem with that because, and here's why I have a problem with it. Unless that pastor is speaking to what's going on in your community. I have a pastor. I have a problem with black folk attending white-led congregations. I'm going to be honest with you. Y'all, some of y'all ain't going to like me. I know you ain't. I'm sorry. And the reason I have a problem is when they don't speak to your situation. You need your pastor. If something is going on in the community, you need your pastor to speak to that. You need your pastor. Listen, my sole assignment to prepare for grace on Sunday, and I love my people. I love my people. My sole assignment to prepare for Sunday is, Lord, how can I bless the Lord's church? How can I bless my people? I know they went through this week. Lord, I know that this is bothering them. I know, Lord, this is on their mind. And if you can't go to a church where the pastor has the mindset to speak to your issues, to speak to them trying to change the history in America, if your pastor cannot speak to them talking about slavery was a benefit to black folk, if your pastor cannot speak to the the approach or the strategy to do away with diversity, equity, and inclusion. If your pastor cannot speak to the issues that you are dealing with, I don't believe you need, even if he's black, even if he's a black pastor. I won't just say about a white pastor, even if he's black. Because when we had prophets in the Bible, the prophet always spoke to the situation of the people that he was responsible for. That's why I admire pastors, and I could name names of some guys that will always speak on behalf of their people and will always speak to their needs in their own way. Yeah, so I do have a problem. I've not said this publicly. It's probably the first time. I do have a problem. I do have a problem because I do have a problem with us not supporting black establishments. I have a problem with most of your best black athletes who don't go to HBCUs. I have a problem. Okay, I'm just confessing today. I have a problem. We go and we make Alabama prosperous. We go and make Georgia prosperous. We make them a powerhouse. We make LSU a powerhouse, Ohio State. And all of these black athletes. See, if black folk, and I know, guys, I know it probably never will happen. I'm being negative about it now myself. But we don't have to go through this if we would support our own. We would support our own. But we don't. We don't. We don't support black-owned businesses. We don't support HBCUs like we should. We don't support our own establishments. We don't even support the black church like we used to. And then when something happened, we won't talk about what Donald Trump is doing and what Mitch McConnell is doing and what the Republicans are doing or what the Democrats are doing. No, the text says, examine your own ways and let us turn back to the Lord. Let us examine our own ways. So let me encourage you again. Spend your time seeing how you can better your condition. Spend your time seeing how you can collaborate. I shared yesterday with our congregation, what if, because there are some people say, well, hey, Pastor, I got this idea, but I can't do it by myself. Okay, find 4 or 5 other people. For instance, what if 4 black brothers or 5 black brothers or 5 black sisters or 3 black sisters, 2 black brothers, or however you want to put it together. Say, okay, I cannot buy this investment property alone. So let me connect with somebody and let's buy it together. Now, my profit will not be as big if I connect, but I can do together what I can't do alone. We can do together what we cannot do alone. And before you know it, you can buy 1, you can buy 2, you can buy 3. Now you're creating wealth. Now you're creating wealth and you're fortifying yourself. I got to quit. I got to quit. You may not can do that business by yourself. Find somebody. Well, black folk can't trust each other. Well, white folk don't trust each other too. That's why it's called contract. That's why you sign contracts and develop a cooperation. That's why you meet. That's why you strategize. That's why you build conglomerates. Uh, that's why you build groups. That's why you do it together. I would encourage you. I would encourage us to do it together. Matter of fact, I'm gonna set the example. This is, not that I have to, but I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna set the example. I'm gonna find another three, four brothers, and we're gonna do something together. We're gonna do something together. I want to set that example. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Got to be of like mind. Got to be of like mind. Take your time. Do your research. Do it together. If you're a family, why can't you do it together? Why can't you do it together? Some of us are getting older, and of course, we are where we want to be, or we are thankful to be where we are. But this is really good for young folk. All I am saying in closing, I don't have time to sit around complaining about what Trump is doing. My job is to make sure I do the best I can to get him out the next time. My job is to make sure I do what I can do for midterm elections. Hopefully that the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party is not all right either, but I believe that it is, more in our interest than the Republican Party. I do believe that. I do believe they're more in our interest than Donald Trump. I'm hearing Black Republicans complain now about the comments that he made about DEI. And I'm saying to myself, y'all knew he was like this. Why you complain? You knew this dude. All of us knew it, but you wouldn't listen to us. No, I'm voting for Trump because, I'm voting for my pocket. Now your money, now things are getting ready to go up if these tariffs. He said that the other day himself. It may be a little tough for Americans. That ain't what you said when you were running. That's not what you said when you were running. We're just going to be rich and we're going to prosper. These tariffs are going to cause prosperity. No, no, no. You know that tariffs on other countries are going to raise prices. So get ready for price increases. It's going to happen. We get 70% of our oil from Mexico, our imported oil from Mexico and Canada. 70% of our imported oil from Mexico and Canada. You put tariffs on them, they're just going to raise the prices. Then you'll see gas going up. These guys are not for us. All you have to do is watch who they surround themselves with. You go to an inauguration, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, nothing but billionaires. You got billionaires everywhere. And so now there are some Black Republicans who are already complaining. Well, you knew that was going to happen, but we will survive. And we're not going to survive because God's going to do everything. We're going to survive because we will fortify ourselves. I hope I have encouraged you on this Monday morning. I could talk more about it, and of course I will. Bible class tomorrow night, Grace. Dr. Joel Kemp is going to be there. He's dealing with Black history in the Bible. The dude is a beast. You don't want to miss him tomorrow night. It will not be streamed. It will not be streamed. You got to come. You got to come. I'm looking forward to seeing you on tomorrow night. Father, we thank you now. Bless your people. Bless your people. Keep us in your care. We love you and we thank you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. God bless you. And I hope that this message has blessed somebody on today. Pray for me as I catch the flight. I'm in Washington, D.C. Preached last night, had a good night. Preached twice at Grace yesterday. That's one of the things I love about Atlanta. I can preach at my church and catch a flight anywhere and preach for somebody on a Sunday night. I love that. I love that about Atlanta and Delta Airlines. Delta. So pray for me. I'll be flying back to Atlanta on the day, going straight to my office to have some meetings and to get some things done. God bless you. I love you. Have a good day. We'll talk later. Bye-bye.